All right, we will go ahead and get started. So again, good morning. Thank you all for joining us. I call to order this July 2024 business meeting of the Maryland Lynching Truth and Reconciliation Commission. As always, I am honored to serve as chair. Hi, I'm David. Good to see y'all. um, Very quickly, I will go through attendance to make sure we have a quorum. So yes, I am here, acknowledging Commissioner Baker, Commissioner Armenti, Commissioner Coles, Commissioner Creary, Commissioner Davidson, Commissioner Seward, Commissioner Dupree Wilson. Let me see, I'm doing my numbers here. I think we just there. Up and Commissioner Haley just joined. Okay, so I do believe we are at quorum. Let's just count. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, yes, we are at quorum. Cool, we can actually continue. All right, awesome. Um, Moving forward with our agenda to the approval of the business meeting minutes. I do not believe that we received them just yet, so we will go ahead and table the approval of the minutes. We also do have the recording, so that information is available, but we'll table that for the time being. So moving forward with our agenda, chair's comments and the soul check. So I'll just, as always, say thank you for being here to commissioners, to members of the public. We continue to move forward with this necessary work. As a reminder to all of us, our time is drawing nigh. We will be sunsetting officially in June of 2026, with the final report being due at December of 2025. So our energy, our time, our resources are focused on completing our hearing sessions to make sure that they are of the highest standards, to make sure that they are accomplishing what we want them to accomplish, which first and foremost is sharing the truth. Secondly, which is really more of a 1B to the 1A, providing healing for the descendants of racial terror lynching victims, as well as the communities that were most affected by the domestic terrorism, and also to promote justice and to promote a sense of restoration for the legacy of these crimes against humanity. In terms of my soul is my soul's been a little iffy lately. I'm sure a lot of our souls have been a little iffy lately. I've been in this world a little under 40 years. I've been in this country the same amount of time. I've been quite aware of the BS of this country for much of that time. And very rarely have I ever felt scared. I felt scared recently with everything that is happening, because it's such an affront to humanity, and it just blows my mind. Um, I refuse to believe, quite simply, that we are this stupid collectively. I refuse to believe we're this dumb. And maybe that's the thing I'm really scared about, is because I know for many of us on this call, it's so simple, it's so straightforward, it's so clear, but for many others, it's not. And that does scare me. I will say that I've really had to dig into my faith. Um, I think to give me calm, to give me peace, and to be reminded that faith requires action. So I've also thought about what actions we can take, not just as an individual, but as a collective. And there's still yet to be seen, but I know that there are things that we can do. We cannot give up on democracy, as flawed as it may be, because it's flawed. But I'll take a flawed democracy over the alternative. Um, we can't give up on humanity, as frustrating as humanity can be, because what we are experiencing is the totality of humanity. And I continue to have faith in us. And I think among all the BS and the scariness that is showing up, that continues to rise to the top. Um, Dr. King said it best. I choose to lead with love. I choose to believe in love, because hate is too much of a burden to bear. I can only think about the hate that so many people are carrying around in their hearts and in their souls. And that's got to be such a heavy burden, especially when it's so unwarranted. So I can only hope that love continues to demonstrate its superiority over hate. And through this commission, I want us to continue to demonstrate the superiority of love over hate, over ignorance, over uh, the lack of humanity, because I think we all have the stories in our lives that show that, yeah, love is the answer. As challenging as it can be sometimes, love always wins. So that's where my soul is. To any commissioners that would like to share, please feel free.
David, I'm just going to relate briefly about a Fourth of July cookout that I had, which was a cook-in, really, with just very few people, myself and a cousin. And I have a cousin who's very, very, very outspoken, very, very outspoken, and likes. I don't know. It's hard to say if this cousin claims to be certainly not progressive. I guess aggressively Afrocentric sometimes.
Sometimes.
However, so in the course of this non-conversation where we're getting ready to watch the Fourth of July event, so she brings up, well, guys, did you hear about this? Is going to make sense because it's about making people aware who aren't aware. All of us probably on this call are people who are at least of history, interested in social justice, and interested in what goes on behind the headlines. However, we should remind ourselves, family, friends, whatever, there's a lot of people who really aren't. And where they get their information from is absolutely not checking sources, not going to variable page. I mean, it's been said before, but it's even more, I'd say, challenging than just going to Fox News or just going to CNN, MSNBC or whatever. It's this cousin of mine was talking about YouTube, and she was saying, "Did you guys hear that Putin revealed or these vaults, and the vaults showed that everybody was black. Jesus was black, Mary was black, and all the apostles were black." And I said, "No, I didn't hear that." "You didn't hear?" It would be like this big explosion. "You didn't hear?" And I thought, "No, I didn't hear that. What's your source for that?" "Well, it's all over. It's all over. There's a video on YouTube." I said, "Okay, well, what was that source of that video on YouTube?" "Oh, there's a lot of different videos about it." "Okay, well, was that source another video whose source?" And she said, "Well, yeah, but it shows Putin. It shows him showing these documents. What are the documents?" "Well, I don't know, but I'll pull it up for you." So while she's pulling it up, I'm looking on my phone, which thank God was working. And I go to PolitiFact, I go to Snopes, I go to the ones that are online. I think this one's called Fact Check, and just try to see. You would put it in there, and it said false. The claim that Putin revealed this, blah 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 blah. And I showed this to her. She said, "What? Well, what's that?" I said, "Well, it's a site that's nonpartisan, and it reveals the truth, or even variable levels of truth about what's going on." And she was saying, "Oh, well, 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 the government's corrupt anyway, and blah blah blah." I said, "Okay, okay, but that's not true." And I'm saying, at least what I always do is, at least for my journalism course, always go for two sources and make sure that the second source you find is not based on the first source that you found, unless it's true. And then she said, "Well, I don't like, I'm just going to be specific here. I don't like Biden or Trump." I said, "Okay, okay. Remember that some of the things that are going on now weren't because Biden did them or because Trump did them." But then again, as I say this, if you're not happy with what the Supreme Court did, what was the mechanism that allowed these persons to be on the Supreme Court? It wasn't just that one person did it. It was that one person picked them, and then a majority of people on one side were able to vote them in. So remember that how much you may not like this one individual person, if they are in office, the other mechanisms that they can support is what ends up happening down the line. And that's what's going on right now. Many people, and I didn't say specifically her, think that that one person who is a president or who is this is the one who makes all these things happen. And I said, it's not just that, it's the people who they put in place to make these things happen. So think about that when you go to the voting box. And that was my main concern. And one of the things that gives me a little bit of hope, not a lot, right? Frankly, a little bit of hope. I am looking for other destinations, but a little bit of hope that if we just talk about, well, do you know the whole process? Do you know how things work? Which won't seem like don't vote for him, don't vote for her. But just if you know the whole process, think about the different policies that might be in place based on who is in office. And I feel like that's a way of being perhaps more fair and not more targeted but more fair about just check these things out and see where your thinking is after that. That gives me a little hope. Although, and another part is like, well, hey, I've got a few months till November. Just feel good.
No, thank you for that, Commissioner Davidson. I see your hand.
Yeah, so I want to thank you. I said, well, why don't you go to the archives instead of doing a digital check? We can go together. But part of the issue is that the information, the work that's being done by this commission is necessary, and other commissions out there in various states and communities, because there are people who are not connected to history, who may not believe that this happened in America, and that this could happen to various and sundry groups again. One that's not even, may not be related to the lynching, but to me was a lynching, was the murder of Matthew Shepard. That broke my heart. I am a straight ally of the LGBTQIA community, and they killed this man, hung him on a fence. And that day I thought that could have been my son, all because he found somebody attractive. And so, yes, thank you for bringing that up. And thank you for the work that's being done here, because it lets America know what ignorance, fear, and hatred can do in the human heart. But that's it for me. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you for that, Commissioner Davidson. Appreciate your thoughts and everybody else's thoughts. I know we could be here all day with it. I'm not going to belabor the point, but thank you for making space to share how we feel. We are emotional beings. It's okay to connect with your emotions and be open about them. And even in the process of doing that, you feel just a little bit better. So thank you for that. Moving on with our agenda to public comments. As always, we thank the public for joining us. If you would are so moved, please introduce yourself via the chat, give your name, your affiliation. I know many of you already know the deal, so thank you in advance for that. And again, for continuing with us on this journey and holding us accountable for the work that we are to do. Moving on now to our committee reports. If there are any committee chairs that would like to share anything at this time, please feel free. I know we've all had our different schedules and kind of different tasks, so please feel free to provide any updates at this time.
I can give my reports for the logistics committee. We met on June 17th, and to date, 4 hearings have been scheduled, which include a total of 7 counties. All those hearing dates are now on the commission website. We have ongoing meetings for those 4 hearings. In addition, an initial meeting will be held in July 22nd for Harford and Cecil County's first meeting. So that's really exciting. So we should have that hearing scheduled, shortly after that July meeting. That leaves us with 2 last counties, and we are in the works of trying to get an initial planning meeting scheduled. And then we are discussing hosting a final institutional hearing in February. You could also view it as a subject hearing, sort of a statewide hearing that would cover topics of law enforcement, media, etc. So that is in conversation as well. At the last logistics committee meeting, we did discuss having occasional in-person commission meetings. This was brought to the executive committee. And David, I'm going to let you, Commissioner Fakunle, I'm going to let you share that information and outcomes of that if you wish, or you can ping it back to me if you so choose. Mm-hmm. And my last announcement is our next logistics committee meeting is on July 15th.
Thank you, Commissioner Miller, and I will ping it back to you once we get to that. Okay. So thanks. Any other updates from committee chairs?
Yes, the Reconciliation Committee, we postponed our monthly meeting from what should have been this past Friday for the 15th day after Juneteenth holiday. We'll be meeting on the 19th, but between the last time we met and what's going to be happening, we did meet with our interns, whom Commissioner Coles was able to bring together, and we had a fantastic conversation about just sort of doing some research on precedents and legal precedent and things that will be, I think, helpful for the writing and the framing of the final report. Commissioner Coles, I don't know if you would like to share some of that, but again, I was very energized and enthusiastic, just in terms of the conversation that we had with August and Chinello. And again, our next meeting will be on July 19th, that Friday. So if you would like to join in those conversations and kind of, help move things along, one of the things that, again, I'm hoping that we can get done today is discussion of the final report writer's job description, which hopefully you all were able to take a look at. There have been some additions to it. I don't know if we need to discuss this now or wait till later for new business, but yeah, at some point I'll need to figure out how to share screen, unless you all have the link. Well, I can put the link in there, and if you want to take a look at where it stands now, we can do it that way.
Yes, Commissioner Coles, I see your hand. Thank you, Commissioner Creary. Appreciate that.
Thank you, Commissioner Curry. I just wanted to add one thing. We've been asking our interns to research and collect all of the resources they can find and reference materials that they can find to help give us a solid background and knowledge on what has taken place before as remedies that have come out of Truth and Reconciliation Commissions. And so they're both looking at primary and secondary resources. And so I would just ask you guys as commissioners and as friends and as experts, if you're aware of any articles, and no need to just start sending stuff yet. What I'll do is once we look through their spreadsheet and they tell me that it's like in its best shape that they can get it in, we're gonna send it to you guys. And I just wanna give you guys a heads up and ask that you look over their spreadsheet. And if you see anything that you're aware of, whether it's a article or it's a report or something that you think should be added to this database of information we're collecting, please do send it to us so that we can add it to the spreadsheet and just sort of have all of the knowledge and information out there collected into one place.
Thank you, Commissioner Coles. Commissioner Haley, I see your hand.
You're on mute, Commissioner Haley.
The screen is different. I don't know why, but the screen is different. It's showing me a greater than sign, and it's showing me the microphone sign. So I clicked the greater than sign, and it wasn't great at all. So anyway, I think Commissioner Armenti is on vacation. So he was saying that I could cover for him today. We have moved our meeting for this month to be July 22nd, where we'll have a more full report. So really what we're doing along with Commissioner Millen is with the logistics. We're meeting with Prince George's County, and I see Reverend Tigert is here to make sure that we're ongoing and making progress with any kind of research and things of that sort for their upcoming hearing. And also, I think Montgomery County is one of the ones we're looking at. Also, St. Mary's County, all the ones that are moving forward. And I just wanted to also relate that one of the co-chairs of the, I think maybe no, she's chair of a subcommittee of the chair, Katie Pouliers, had contacted me because their specific person on the committee who's talking about research Austin DeMarco had mentioned that he found a discrepancy between the dates on the Maryland State Archives and the dates that they had found or come to a conclusion of based on the newspaper articles on Thomas Jurix's actual lynching. And so on the one hand, I want to say anytime you find anything within your research, your different communities or committees that you find are slightly different, please bring it to us, because we are not, as I said, I just went on a little rant about sources. We are not against looking again to double check what we have, how we found it, where we found it, what became our definitive decision. So within this one, and as I told Katie that we will look at it this week, what I'm thinking about some of these lynchings, which we should all be aware of, and I'm sure we are, is that sometimes you come to a probable conclusion as to when the person was actually lynched. Now, we all know as far as time of death goes, that's a different thing between the medical examiner, so that's one thing. Then there's also some of these lynchings, the person was apprehended here, drugged to another place, and then the lynching takes place. So what do you consider the actual lynching? And is that lynching before midnight or after midnight? So if it's before midnight, then the date should be literally whatever that day is. Like today is July 8th right now. If, God forbid, something had happened to someone, July 7th at 11:59, that's the date of that actual lynching. But perhaps it's not found out until the next day, July 8th. So what do we put down as far as the date of when this person was lynched? It's arguable about when one would put that date down. So again, I haven't looked at it specifically, but I've seen that in several cases where we've had to sort of make a probable conclusion as to where and when did this lynching occur, and then put that forth on our website. So just sharing that story, and also make you all aware that within your own committees that it's a very valid question, and we welcome it.
Yes, Commissioner Armenti, he's here.
Hi, David. I thought you were here. Okay, fine.
No, apologies. I was just saying I'm literally getting back from vacation, so not fully caught up yet. But in addition to just reiterating what Commissioner Haley stated, I'll also say that some of our recent discussions have centered on process as related to how we support the hearings as well, in terms of how those folks genealogically connected to the victims can participate in the hearings. So I think we want to reiterate that point too, that whether it's coming through local committees, whether it's coming through our contracted genealogists, or just from members of the public, to continue to reach out to us as soon as possible if there's even a potential family connection to any of the victims that we are acknowledging, so that we have enough time to, have a conversation and determine how that gets incorporated, that testimony gets incorporated into the hearings. Because as Chair Facunle alluded to, that providing that space for them is so important. But we also want to make sure that we as a commission are prepared going into those hearings and have the information that we need, and have that coordination with those other members of the public. So yes, more to come with us. The July 22nd meeting will be at the 3 p.m. time, using the same link that we have used in the past. So you can find that information on the commission website, but also know that it really would just be a repeat of past meeting information. So look forward to more discussion later this month.
Thank you for that, Commissioner Armenti, and you are doing much better than I would be coming straight from vacation. Honestly, I would not have even showed up. So I'm just keeping it real. But thank you for your commitment. I appreciate you. Okay, moving forward with our agenda. I know that Commissioner Millen kind of covered this in her committee report, so I'll just say, are there any other details that we want to share regarding updates with engagement with various counties and regions? And that goes for all other commissioners to which that may be applicable. Or to whom that would be applicable.
The only other update I probably would include would be is that on this upcoming Wednesday at 11:30, I'll be meeting with the Hatcher Group to start solidifying media outreach. So Chair Amy, if you all have any specific acts that we want to provide to the Hatcher Group, this upcoming Wednesday, please feel free to send that over via email and I can get that put on the agenda for them.
Cool. Thank you for that, Trish. Appreciate you.
Mhm.
Any other updates regarding engagement? I know there's been a lot of moving parts in that regard, and Commissioner Millen did a great job of providing a recap. So I just wanted to make sure there were any other specifics that are going on. Let me check the. I see your hand. Yes, Reverend Tiger, I see your hand.
Yeah, I just want to say we're very pleased with the date that we have for our hearing, January 25th, and excited to be working with you all on it. It feels like things are moving ahead very well.
Thank you. No, thank you for sharing that. I'm glad that you are pleased.
Oh, and it will be at Bowie State.
Yes, it will. Absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you for that. So yes, I will second that, Reverend Tykert. I'm very happy with the movement with all of our hearings. As Commissioner Millen shared, I think we have all but 2 that need to be confirmed. That's great. That's wonderful. We have a realistic timeline to have them all completed. So I'm just as happy as anyone else. So thank you to commissioners who have stepped up. Thank you to the commissioners that were already stepping up. We are making the connections. We are getting responses. We are locking down dates. We are looking at locations. We are doing the necessary work, and it's showing. So I'm very grateful to you all for putting in, again, the necessary effort to make sure we do what we were charged to do. Any other updates regarding engagement? Okay, hearing none, seeing none, then we can move forward with our agenda, and we are now on new business. So, Commissioner, before we get to you, Commissioner Creary, because I do want to spend our time looking at your RFP draft regarding the in-person meetings. So, Commissioner Millen, if you would give us the recap of what was proposed for the in-person meetings.
Sure. In the logistics committee, we discussed that originally the commission was meeting in person prior to COVID, and that the commission has never made that transition back to in person. Recognizing that there's a large geographic span that all the commissioners are really residing and working in, it was proposed that we meet in person on maybe a quarterly basis. With the first in-person meeting scheduled for October 7th. This is 1 week earlier than the normal rhythm of the meetings, because the normal rhythm in October places us on Indigenous Peoples Day. So we moved it 1 week earlier. So Monday, October 7th. I'm not sure if the location has been confirmed. We're considering maybe 3 different locations and alternating to give a little bit more representation across counties and make it easier for some more than others.
Mm-hmm.
So the location I don't think has been locked in, but it'll still be held at the normal time. One idea was after the conclusion of the commission's meeting, it'd be an opportunity for research and reconciliation committees to meet. With understanding that there's some folks who are members of more than one committee. So logistics would not meet, but the other 2 could have an in-person meeting that month. Some of that is also still fluid and in the planning stages.
Thank you for that, Commissioner Millen. And as you were speaking, that reminded me that I believe we were looking at Bowie State University as the location of the October 7th meeting, which would be 2 days after the hearing. That was also so yes. Okay. All right.
Right. Yes. So Saturday, October 5th is Montgomery County's hearing.
Mhm.
Then Monday, October 7th would be the regular commission's business meeting. And yes, we're considering Bowie State, but I'm not sure if that's been locked in. Maybe Trish or Marinda would be able to speak to that.
Mm-hmm.
I know the holiday was in the middle of our.
Right.
Yeah, the holiday was in the middle since our last executive meeting, so we have not had any movement on that yet, but we will circle back once we do.
Great.
Okay. No, sounds good. And I believe that in terms of locations, and this was a conversation we had, I want to say we had it last year, and we just kind of got lost in the sauce. So we talked about the 2 locations of Maryland State Archives, one being in Annapolis, one being in the Woodlawn area. as places where we've previously been for meetings, that we would have these quarterly meetings again. Bowie State being a third location, and I believe did we talk about a fourth location? I feel like there was a fourth location that we brought up. I think one that we considered, which again was a place we had a previous meeting before, was Morgan State University, the Bell Center specifically. So that is certainly a conversation that I and other Morgan folks could have with the institution to see if that's feasible. But again, we're trying to do our best to accommodate all the different places in the state where we live, and give us these opportunities to connect in person outside of the hearings, as we once did in the before time. So thank you all for that, and more details to come on those in-person meetings.
The other space was Waffle House, Chair. That was
It was Waffle House. Okay. So if you didn't know what this, okay, yes, because there is a Waffle House 20 miles, like, yeah, okay. I see what you did there.
Thank you, Trish. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Yeah. I was serious about the Waffle House, wasn't I? This is a way to keep us humble. That's all. Okay. I'm serious about Waffle House at some point. Maybe we'll do that once we're done, since it won't be in our official capacity. But we'll celebrate at Waffle House once we're done.
You know, the initial meeting that got this whole thing started happened in a Starbucks, so why not?
Hey, okay, I like that. It's like the duality of man. We started a Starbucks, ended a Waffle House. There you go. We come out.
Yeah, no, that was where, Delegate Pena Melnick and I, she said, okay, this sounds interesting. Let's meet at Starbucks. And we did.
There you go.
That's what got this whole thing rolling. So, I think, let's have a grand finale at Waffle House.
That would be so us too. That's not the that would be us. Okay, I'm with it. Yes, Reverend Tiger. So there will hopefully be a live streaming option, which is something that we were doing previously when we had in-person meetings. We would have people, the opportunity for people to join virtually. So yes, thank you for uplifting that. And yeah, everybody knows revolutions start over food and drink. So there you go. All right. With that said, talking about revolutions and reconciliation and justice and impact and all that kind of stuff. Commissioner Creary, if you would like to bring forth your draft of the writer for the final report, that would be great.
Sure. Again, I'm not entirely sure how to do screen sharing here, but I did send the link, so hopefully everybody should be able to access it. If not, I can either give you permission if you request it, or the easiest thing to do would be to figure out how to share a screen, and then I can just pull it up. And for those of you who don't have it up, you can take a look at it.
So before you begin, Commissioner Creary, are we able to pull it up on the screen? Marcel Archives, do we have that ability?
So there should be a share screen option. I see Emily saying yes as well.
Yes. Dr. Creary, did you want to share your screen and bring it up, or did you want us to do it? 'Cause you can do it. This is not like Zoom. You don't need permission.
Okay. Yeah, I can share it. Or I was going to say, if you know how to do it and you can pull it up.
No, I'm happy.
Yeah, that would make my life a whole lot easier. There have been, since I sent the link out last night, God, was it last night? Yeah. A couple of folks have added a few things. So you've got, some polychromatic suggestions in there. But, please do have a look at it. I think, even with the additions there, I think this is still eminently manageable. I would just like to, if possible, get this thing moving so we can hopefully, as you see there, get this out, and ideally, have a, submission deadline of August 15th, or August 31st, September 1, but sometime, as soon as possible, and just trying to be mindful of, the time it's going to take to get through the procurement process, via the Attorney General's office. So if we can hammer this down and lock it down today, then we can turn it over to our colleagues in the Attorney General's office and they can vet it, and then we can hopefully get it out sooner than later.
Thank you for that, Commissioner Curry. Very quickly, I know I'm not seeing the entire document, but there'll be a place for applicants to provide a writing sample. Are we asking for just one or more than one writing sample? Okay, I see it.
Currently, it's just one, but if you think we need to have more than one sample, we can certainly do that. Also bearing in mind that we're going to be the ones to have to read the applications and read the writing samples. I want to sort of get a sense of what they do, but at the same time also not overwhelm whoever is going to be sitting on that selection committee.
Right.
Because there's 168 hours in the week and we got to sleep at least 10 of them.
No, I appreciate that. Thank you. Commissioner Miller, yes, I see your hand.
Yeah, thank you. One of the things we discussed in the last logistics committee was where this will be posted in order to ensure a wide reach. So do you have ideas on that yet?
I figure as far as we can get it, certainly our website, but then let's get it to Hatcher and let them work their magic, get it out. I would hope that all of us would be, sending it through our various social media. But, again, if there's any, state agencies, because again, this is going to be officially, I'm presuming a state procurement. So I would imagine there's got to be something, in the state, HR system, that we should be able to do that. But yeah, we need to just get this out as far and wide. I don't know if trying to hit local news media would be a way to sort of, encourage people to, to drive people to the website to look at it. But yeah, I am totally open to ideas and suggestions for where we should be sending this, because again, I'm not a PR person.
Mm-hmm. Commissioner Baker, I saw your hand.
Thank you. I just had a quick question for, I guess, the group, but maybe Commissioner Curry. For the Hatcher group, I think it was, I worked on an RFP with Elizabeth, Commissioner Hughes. And I know that there was some specific things that we needed to do and people to talk to ensure that the RFP aligned with what state standards were, since it was a state procurement. Will we be doing that with this specific RFP?
Sorry, could you just repeat that? I was, having some issues there.
Sure. Basically, when we did the RFP for the Hatcher group, we worked closely with state employees, who I think some of them are on this call, to ensure that the RFP was developed and aligned with state standards, since it was going to be a state procurement. Will we be doing that with this RFP?
Yeah, I don't see why not. I figure, at this point, we just need to come up with a text that is going to be, that we can bring to the Attorney General's office, since they ran the procurement for the PR firm that netted us Hatcher. I don't see why we couldn't do something similar with this, which just makes sense, since they're the professionals who know how to get this done. We just need to give them something to work with, and then, again, going through that, if there are any things that we need to include or delete, they will let us know.
I'll need it. Commissioner Hughes, I see your hand.
Yeah, I was seeing this as being basically developing the scope of work that will form the basis of the RFP. And so I'm sure OAG's staff will help with all the special state language that's required in processes always. I had a question. I'm sorry, I had to step away for a minute, but so maybe you answered this already, Commissioner Creary, but insofar as the work plan outline and framework for the final report is to be developed, maybe this will incorporate my interest, but is our assumption that this report is going to not only do the specific work items here in terms of the work with the research committee and the recommendations for reparations, but also provide sort of a summary overview of the work of the commission from its inception sort of through up until the point where we have these recommendations? Because I think about someone looking at this, 20 years from now, and it would be helpful to have that kind of, not super exciting maybe, but really that does talk about, from the inception and the number of meetings and how we met and evolution over time and that sort of. Is that going to be part of the report, do you suppose?
Yes, absolutely. I would want that in the introduction, sort of saying, again, sort of giving the origin story, starting in Starbucks, in PG County, and just kind of explaining how and why we got started and what the process was. I mean, we don't need to go through, in excruciating detail, but just to give that broad overview, where this came from, what the impetus for the commission was, and yeah, we should definitely include that in the final report so that people coming to this cold will quickly understand what we did and why we did it.
Related to that, I think having, even if it's like appendices that sort of summarize each of the hearings, would be really helpful to researchers in the future, because while we may have information on the MSA website now, you know how websites are,
Yes.
that stuff just disappears. So that would be another, either including that in the outline, or I don't know if it goes in the scope of work, but I think talking about each of those individual hearings, and that would be really helpful to have all in one place.
Yeah, well, I mean, that, again, it could make for an extremely bulky report, but one of the beauties of having transcripts of the various hearings, and again, as I said, some of them run anywhere from 25 to 40 pages, but if that's a way to make sure that we include that with the final report, as I said, that'll make it awfully big, but who cares? As you said, the information will be there and it'll all be in one place.
Thank you for that. So I just want to acknowledge what's been going on in the chat, and it really brings forth something that I think is very much relevant to this conversation. So Dr. Garwick and I have been working on crafting, along with another professor, Dr. David Carey at Loyola University, Maryland, on crafting a course that works in conjunction with the MLTRC. And the aim of that course is, along with the final report that we know will be crafted, that there are strategies to disseminate the work of the commission with a younger audience in mind, which is why the students will be helping to really generate the creativity that comes out of the course. So certainly at some point, we would like for there to be some interaction between this final report writer and the students of the course to just give us insight into how that report is being crafted, and to hopefully help the students generate ideas on how the work of the commission and really the larger work of restorative justice and restorative practices can be shared with younger audiences. Very quickly, Dr. Garwick, if you wanted to say anything in that regard, not to put you on the spot.
No, that sounds perfect. Absolutely. Absolutely. The thought is this would be a joint course, Morgan and Loyola. So really bringing the students to kind of think about how to help share the stories in different ways, to help discuss the work of the commission, all that you've been doing. So thanks.
Awesome. So Nick, Michelle, everybody else, y'all gonna show up in this class at some point because I definitely, I definitely want the students to hear from y'all. Much of it will be, again, how we capture the story, not just the work, but really us too, especially those who have been around from the beginning. Like, we have a story to tell, and we need to be intentional about how we share that element, not just everything that we generated. So I don't think that necessarily needs to go on the scope of work, but at least for our edification, please know that we would definitely want the final report writer to have some interaction with this course. In addition, I want to uplift what Reverend Tyker mentioned about the Maryland Lynching Memorial Project and the county LMPs being able to share the RFP once it goes out. Commissioner Millen gave some sources that we could use as well in terms of where the RFP can go. Zanita was just talking about how once the scope of work is finalized, it will be added to the state's RFP template. Make sure it crosses all the T's, dots all the I's. And the previous conversation that was had, definitely add that to the scope of work. And Reverend Tyken also gave us a music video to check out. So just give that a shot when y'all get a chance.
As I recall, I think we had allocated, was it 40 or 50,000 in the budget, or am I misremembering that?
Well, I don't know offhand.
We can
Yeah.
dig that out, and
Okay.
but yeah, I think it's a good idea and good practice to include that so people can know whether or not they want to take the time to put something in. Because yeah, Lord knows, with all my time on the job market, I've like, yeah, this looks great. Have the conversation, and it's like, oh, this is what it is. Like, yeah, I can't work for that. There are just some realities, and I think, yes, including that will be good practice. And I think, we'll be, again, just fully transparent.
Agreed. Thank you for that, Commissioner Curry. Any other thoughts? All right, hearing none, seeing none. If any ideas should arise, please feel free to share those with Commissioner Creary. Feel free to share them with me as well. Just make sure that they are shared so that they can be considered as this scope of work is being put together. Because as Commissioner Creary said, we want to get this out as soon as possible so that we can bring the person in as soon as possible and really get them going with the work that we're doing. So thank you all for that. Moving on with our agenda. I think we're good with new business. So any announcements? Any announcements at this time? So I usually don't share announcements, so I'm gonna share one. So this Saturday from 11 a.m. to 6 p.m. is the annual Voices of History Street Fair. This is an annual celebration through the National Great Blacks and Wax Museum, which I represent on this commission. It is just an opportunity to celebrate the museum, which has been around for 40 plus years, telling the truth of the history of the African diaspora, I think in a way no one else has. I acknowledge my context. And really to celebrate arts, culture, and health, and to celebrate Baltimore. So if anyone is interested, please feel free to join us. It will be at the National Great Blacks and Wax Museum. I will put the information in the chat. If you have any time, please join us. There'll be vendors, both selling stuff as well as vendors around helping community. There will be performances. There'll be a DJ. Hopefully the weather will accommodate. So it'll be a good time. And again, if you have any time on that Saturday, we would love for you to join us. Any other announcements?
I've got a quick one, if that's okay.
Yeah, please.
Also this Saturday at 10 o'clock in the morning, the Baltimore County Lynching Memorial Project is going to hold our annual Remembrance for Howard Cooper. It's July 13th. 1885 is when this 15-year-old child was lynched. And it's going to be right across from where the marker is. There's a park that's at Bosley and Susquehanna, I think is where it is. If you are at the marker, the Cooper marker, and you look due north, you'll see it. It's right across Bosley Avenue. And it's a pretty good program that Amy and others have put together, and everyone is welcome. 10 o'clock Saturday morning.
Thank you for that, Will. Reverend Tykert, I see your hand.
Yeah, just real quick, does the Reconciliation Committee know about the reparations campaign in Prince George's County in Lakeland, Maryland, which is, well, near College Park?
I don't believe so. I'm familiar with Lakeland, but I'm not familiar with their reparations efforts. No.
Okay, I'll send you a link to it. It's really moving along.
That's awesome. No, thank you for sharing that. Yeah, that'll definitely be very helpful for the Reconciliation Committee, especially. But thank you for that, Reverend Tykert. Appreciate you. Any other announcements? All right, hearing none, seeing none, then we are at the end of our meeting. I will move for us to adjourn. Is there a second?
Seconded.
Oh, everybody's happy. Okay, everybody's eager to leave, huh? Thank you. All right. So moved. All right. So thank you all again for a productive meeting. Thank you all again for your commitment to this necessary work. Thank you for making me feel a little bit better about the world. I'm sure that will continue. And please join the committee meetings as they arise. As we shared before, that attendance and that participation is just as important, if not more important than this one, although we definitely appreciate you all being at this one too. Just continue to be in communication with each other regarding updates with local entities as we get closer to our slew of hearings in the fall and the winter. And stay safe. Stay inside. Like, don't go outside if you don't have to. Like, the fact that it was like 85 degrees at like 9 in the morning was ridiculous. But anyway, I'll stop rambling. Commissioner Haley, any final thoughts?
I just wanted to say along the lines of what's been the subtext of what we've talked about today is that I used to tell my staff all the time that one of the reasons why I used to bring in videos of different things that were on and we would watch them like once a week. The one was like their Slavery by Another Name. So they would have a sense of what's going on, so that if they're going out to do presentations or they just see somebody and they say they work for the Legacy of Slavery program, they instantly go, "Oh, really? What's that like?" Well, slavery, all these different crazy things that are said, is that I always have encouraged them, and so now I just bring it up to ourselves to try to be aware of what other stuff is out there. Because I was going to make this joke about, I'm going to go off and watch some YouTube. But I think it's kind of good that we are aware of, as Nick said, some of the disinformation is out there so we can speak to it. Because if we say we're on this commission, those who probably are so ready for 2025 to happen, so the moves could be afoot to end commissions such as this, it would be good to us to know just part of what that disinformation is that's out there that people are looking at and considering it God's honest truth. And we can't imagine that anybody would go with that, but they absolutely are. So I know that's kind of a downer, but I think it's also just to be aware that there's so much stuff out there readily accessible, and just to try to put an ear and an eye out for it, so that if somebody mentions it, we could say that, oh, well, that's not really true. Or did you check this site? Well, what's your source? And because they don't even think about that. They just think it's out there. It must be true.
Absolutely. Yeah. And it's a little bit of a downer, I agree, but it's the necessary work that we have to do. That is what we're combating more than anything else, is all the other narratives that are readily available and accessible to everyone. So consider that part of the charge of this commission as well, is to let people know what truth actually looks like. So thank you for that, Commissioner Haley. With that, again, thank you all. Have a wonderful day. Stay cool, and we will see you next time.
Thank you.
Take care, yeah.